So episode 4 now is going to be, I guess, the last round of cosmetics. Fingers crossed here on that. This is the rear windshield wiper blade. Arm. And then I'm waiting on front wiper arms as well, and the belt molding that goes at the sides of the front and rear windows along the doors. So they're corroded, they're falling apart. I showed that in the last episode. Like, the chrome is showing through and it looks terrible instead of just being black, fresh, rubber. The next thing is, this episode is probably going to include some of the amateur bodywork. So first thing you do is you've got to find the exact color, or as close as possible. I used a company called Scratches Happen. This is their logo. And basically what this company does is they get the exact color code for your vehicle and they send it out. The first thing you're gonna see on that is step 1, match the color. So test the color. So I already did that. I pulled the Land Cruiser out. It's outside right now. This is usually inside the TRX. I pulled the car out, Land Cruiser out, and I tested the paint. It is as close as it could possibly be. I mean, honestly, it looks pretty much perfect. And this is a piece of cardboard with no clear coat on it. So it looks really, really close. I mean, if I sprayed the car right now, other than it not being clear coated and the other side is, or the other part is, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So I'm waiting on the other 2 wiper blades for the front, wiper arms. I keep doing that. I have the rear, got the paint. I've also got some clear coat. Here we go. So I've also got some clear coat, and I bought some kits of sandpaper, right? So the sandpaper, you want to sand in stages off the body filler, which I have in here as well. I'm going to use as little as possible, don't worry. But there's an 800 grit, 1000, 1500, 2000, and a 2500 grit. There's actually a few spots on the clear coat, on the hood and things like that, where the clear coat's gone, but the paint actually looks pretty good. I'm going to see if maybe I can sand that down, maybe touch it up a little bit with that paint, and then re-clear it. I'm just wondering if that'll clear it up. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch a couple videos, somebody else doing it before I try. But yeah, so I've got plenty of sandpaper. I've got a couple of those packets. And then I've got a rust preventative primer. It's a Rust-Oleum automotive primer gray. So I figured that gray sitting underneath that grayish, color. And the color for this is Moon Glow Gray or something. I forget. It's Moon Glow. It's on my phone. Whatever. Maybe I'll throw that in later. We've got my body filler here. We've got a little spatula, of course, to spread this around. And then I have got a bottle of automotive clear coat as well. And this is just from Duplicolor. I'm trying to be as price conscious about all this as possible for the Cruiser. It's not a new vehicle. It's 30 years old, so there's no sense in breaking the bank. Here's the spreaders. So yeah, couple advanced auto parts supplies here. Scratches Happen is the paint company again that I used to get the identical color. I think I put the VIN number in, and then they took the color code off of that, and then they got this exactly right. So as far as I can tell, it is like spot on. So yeah, this video will probably also be taken over the course of a few days, just depending on when parts come in. I think I'm also going to do the transmission fluid, and then I've also soon we'll have the belts done. I'm going to flush the coolant, new thermostat, and it might have a little exhaust leak. It sounds a little sputtery on the right side where the exhaust manifold is. So I'm gonna have to take a look at that. But honestly, it all runs extremely well. Interior looks awesome now, and the exterior is very close behind that. So yeah, I guess we will kick things off. Okay, so I've already been working on this. I've got my drill set on speed 2. And I've been going through and trying to find out how deep the rust goes. Now this is the one I'm kind of afraid of. And there's one just up here above the windshield. I'm gonna get as close as I can. A body shop would take the glass out and do the whole thing. That's not where we're going with this. I need all that surface rust gone as well as I can get it. I've got the matching paint now. I'm going to do body filler, of course, if I have to go down into this at all. But the good news is everything else, right? So I just hit some surface stuff here. That is all from the wire wheel. I'll have a little bit more cleanup to do, but all the rust that looked like there was rust running along the bottom of the rocker panel, there's no rust in the rocker panel, which is awesome. It was a little bit of rust in the doors, and I guess maybe they're holding water, or however it just drains off the door onto the rocker panel. So they're actually super clean. There's some other little spots, but this is not, you know, a mission to make this perfect. Under here, this is where I had to go down a little bit further. Again, the rocker panel, it seems to be completely solid. So I'll have to sand this down with my, like, you know, other grit sandpapers after I get past this wire wheel section. Maybe a little bit more wire wheel in there, but the rockers are good. It's not rusted through. So that's awesome news. There's a couple other little body spots I will get into. But again, this is not a repaint of the vehicle. This is going to be touching up everything that kind of makes sense, everything that's really visible, everything that could be a potential problem. Right here, we've got the loss of clear coat or discoloration here. I may hit this with a really high grit sandpaper there, and then, oh gosh, of course it's starting to rain. But, you know, then hit this with clear coat again and see if that evens out. But yeah, you know, it honestly does not look like it's going to be too bad. This is the one that's going to, you know, take the time, the whole process. Definitely some filler going to be involved, I'm guessing. But we'll just, you know, take our time with it. We're now at the stage where I've basically sanded everything down, and now it's got the primer on it, which is a sandable primer that's also a rust reformer. So I got everything down. It wasn't holes through anywhere. So that was like the great news. There's several areas. There's a little tiny spot down there at the door. Honestly, I mean, the paint as a whole, the more I got looking at it, I'm like, okay, I gotta like pick a spot to stop, because, you know, I'll wind up painting the whole damn thing if I keep going. But there was a lip across the top. I sanded it down to bare metal again, and I've hit it now with the primer. So, same thing over here. This area was the one that was really the worst. I hit it with a wire wheel really hard. I put a tiny bit of Bondo in there just so it's going to be able to sand down pretty smooth. But there were no holes. It was not all the way through. So great news on that. Again, just a thinnest layer of Bondo or body filler just to make sure I can sand it down nice. But it was down to shiny metal by the end of it all. So I had to just kind of like bring it back up to the surface. And then there's a one spot down here. Sorry for the video quality here. There was a spot honestly down in here, and I've touched that up pretty well. I may hit things with one more coat of the primer. And once that's done, I'll give it another sand with maybe an 800 or 1000 grit, and then I'll throw the paint on and then throw some clear coat. And this does take a long time. So YouTube magic aside, where this all looks like 10 minutes, it does take a while. You just take your time, you get into the cracks in the corners, you make sure it's smooth to the touch. But honestly, it's not too bad. So that's where we're at. Okay, now we are primed and sanded down. So moment of truth, does it really match? Is it gonna look okay? Is it gonna look worse? Here goes. All right, I guess while I'm doing all this other rust on the body, the doors, everywhere else, I should obviously do this while I'm at it, right? So I just sanded off all these little kind of dots of rust. Right here was pretty rusty, actually. This spot was probably the worst spot I've had on the entire vehicle. Lots of little dots of rust, things like this. I just cleaned it with alcohol. I'm probably going to do it again. It was pretty dusty and gross and rusty, and you know, from the wire wheel taking all this off, it created a lot of rust dust. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this off a little bit more, maybe hit it with the wire wheel again, and then prime this and then hit it with black. Yeah, I don't think I want to color. I mean, I have the paint at this point. I mean, I could color match it, but I think black's the way to go. That's what it was on the bumper. I just want to put it back to what original looked like. There was also, it looks like you got rear-ended right here. There's a little, you know, divot in here from some kind of hit, or he backed into something perhaps. I don't know, but it's not a huge deal. It's nothing too crazy. Most people replace these bumpers anyway with some tire carrier or whatever. So yeah, now I'm going to prime this and then paint it black. And just like that, everything was taped off. I've got it like flaring up to keep any overspray. It's actually a very contained spray paint or primer. It's actually, I might have shown it already, but this here, it's a very controlled spray. There's not like a big splat when it's coming down. But it goes on pretty flat. So this is all done as far as wire wheeled for the last video. I cleaned it with alcohol. I realized there was probably a little bit more wire wheel that I could do. And then now I'm gonna come back, and once this is dry, in, I don't know, half hour, it's supposed to dry pretty fast. I'll come back and hit it with the black, and then take the paint off, the tape off very quickly while it's still drying. So that way it doesn't have any like peel or anything to it when I take the tape off. So yeah, I wasn't even planning on doing this part, but I'm back here. I've got all this stuff going on, and I'm waiting for the other primer to dry all the way. It's probably there now before I continue that. But yeah, I guess that's where I'm at right now. Well, I was waiting for everything to dry, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get that crusty old front license plate off. Well, that turned into a bit of a project, and yeah, I mean, these things probably have been on there for 15 years. The last owner had it for 15 years, so I'm kind of guessing these are the first plates that were put on it, and that's probably the original hardware, so I guess that's, you know, what 15 years does. So I'm hoping that up here will not be as bad, but it probably will be when the time comes. I get my plates here in a couple weeks, maybe 10 days, I guess now. So yeah, there's that, I guess, done as well. And that took longer than I thought, so I'm sure all this is dry. So I am going to spray this in now, and then I'll cut back after I sprayed it in. And it's black. So I don't know if I'll need a second coat. Maybe I'll just do it anyway. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna leave it as is. If I come back to this, I'll just do it another time. This is a very easy section to tape off. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get the tape off and just see what she looks like. This is wasteful of paper towels. I hate, you know. See if I can save some of it. Okay. Yeah, I would say that looks quite a bit better. I will take it to the bank. Now, it looks like paint was spilled, I don't know, at some point in its lifetime. Here, maybe a spot over there too. That, I don't know how to get off. I mean, I don't know, we'll see if I try to do that or not. So, all right, first things first, we've got to pry this. Oh, that was easy. Back guy off. Oh, look at this plastic. It just literally broke. All right, there's that. And we got to see what size this little guy is. I'm going to guess a 10 millimeter. Since everything on the planet seems to be 10 millimeters. It's not even tight. All right, let's get that off. All right. And it is a 10. All right, it was on there pretty good. All right. I'll have to clean this guy back up before I put it back on. The new wiper arm did not come with new hardware, so I'll have to poke that out of there. There we go. All right, and I'm guessing we just pull that off if it's not too corroded onto there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use a little pry action. Well, that actually popped right off as soon as I got this guy behind. It's just an interior trim tool. I got this guy back in here, popped it loose. I'm gonna have to clean this up a little bit with a little file, not a file, but like a wire brush to make sure these teeth here can catch the threads and teeth on the new wiper arm. This is actually just a plastic tool first. I just want to make sure this thing isn't damaged anywhere in here. It's like 85 degrees, 86 degrees in this garage right now, but it's raining outside. We've got the dehumidifier running in here too, so I'm trying to clear things out a little bit. I'm gonna have to move to a harder bristle, which I have right here. Let's see what this does. There we go. Let's do a little bit better job. Put my hand under here to make sure I don't scratch the paint. Not that it's a nice paint job at this point, 30 years later, but you know what I mean. You can probably see a good amount coming off of here. Okay. I really hope there's enough teeth on that. We'll see. All right, ignore the hideous old wiper blade on the new perfect arm, but like I said, I do not have my new wiper blades here just yet. So I'm gonna probably be in the way of the camera for this, but here, maybe a little higher. I'm gonna say a little higher, like there. So just find your spot. I don't know that there's gonna be a perfect spot for this, but that looks pretty good to me. That's where I'm gonna leave this and set this. So now I just gotta get my 10 millimeter and put that puppy on pretty tight. The tighter it is, the better it's gonna be, of course. Those threads looked a little tired. I cleaned them up as well as I could, but yeah, we'll see how that plays out. So I slide this guy on. Looks like crap. Should have bought new hardware, but it is what it is. Kind of going slow with this. There we go. Starting to tighten up now. Looks like there's still play in the arm and the motor itself. You see that little play? Maybe that's normal, not really sure, but I wish it didn't have that, but it's just gonna have to be like that. I'm also glad that I set the arm up a little bit too, because as it comes down with that play, yeah, it's on top of this seal, which is fine, I guess, as long as it's not like down below. Okay, that will work. So we'll just make sure we got the last little, yeah, I mean, that feels pretty good without going too crazy on it. That snaps in, and there we have it. I'll probably do a little before and after picture once I have the new blades on too, because the blade still looks like crap. But yeah, there we go. All right, here's where we're at. This is back to black. Looking great. Over here, we are looking great. It really blends well. I like maybe can faintly see it, you know what I mean? Like a small bit. I really need to clean everything really well. The last thing that's gonna happen here is, and there was like some spots in there, I sanded out. Same thing with over here. I sanded this all out. Just tiny little bits of surface rust, and painted that. And then up here. Now, it's not perfect. That's not really the goal, and I'm definitely an amateur at this, but I mean, standing back here without having washed anything, just taking a look, if I'm coming by, if I'm pulling up in your driveway, you know, just in general, you're not really gonna notice any of this stuff. I've sanded it down to the bones. I primed it, sanded the primer. It's not perfect. I don't have like every professional tool, but it looks really good. There was a little spot even on the bottom of the door here that blends in so well. So that's looking really good. And there was one last spot in, gosh, it's hard to even keep up with where they were. Down here, it's blended in really well. That's a shadow right there, but it's blended in super well. Not perfect, but really good. The interior is super clean now. Things are really coming together. I gotta really wait till things dry at this point. And once they're dry, I'll, I don't know, do a bit more of a recap on everything. I also wouldn't mind a slight wet sand at like a really high grit sandpaper. If I do that, I'm pretty sure it'll blend in all the little areas. But honestly, it really looks good. I did put the new rear wiper on. I haven't got to the fronts yet. They just haven't come in. Nor have the windshield wipers. So again, I'm replacing the wiper arms. The rear one, let's go back here, is on. I think I had that in the video already. So the rear wiper looks great. And then this is the old blade still, obviously. But when the new one comes in, I'm gonna swap that out. I just wanted to keep the arm off of the glass because the new spring in here is very strong. So yeah, we are really getting this thing a lot nicer than I was even expecting to or planning on. Next thing, of course, is going to be powder coating the wheels. That's not the next thing, that's the last thing. Powder coating the wheels, and I'm a little torn on, do I just put a 33 on? Because a 33 will fit this stock. A 33 in a D-rated tire. These are E-rated and they ride like a dump truck at this point. But if I sandblast, well, I'll have a shop. Sandblast the wheels back to bare metal and then powder coat them. I'm thinking like a darker gray, something along the lines of this, where the bumper is. Same with the center caps, and then new lug nuts. And this thing will be looking good. Again, I'm doing new belts, coolant, thermostat. It's got a small exhaust leak. I'm having all those fixed actually at the dealership. I'm running out of time. I've got the mother-in-law here and she's helping do stuff while I'm, you know, playing out here, I guess. But yeah, I mean, things are going really well. I do have to still change the transmission fluid. But yeah, I mean, gosh, this whole thing is just really getting to that point where you can just enjoy the thing.